Welcome to another episode of Under the Moon and Over the Sky. This is Charles from Chicago, and I'm coming to you on a beautiful Labor Day weekend, September 6th, 2015. Today I wanted to talk to you about a very humbling experience I had in the Philippines. Several years ago, I was traveling to the Philippines on business. I have a neighbor who is also he's from the Philippines. And I was arriving a couple of days before him, and we were going to meet up in Manila. It would only take me a couple of days to take care of my business, and so that was our plan. So when I landed in Manila, I made it over to Makati, and I hit the ground running. And if you've ever tried to do any business in the Philippines, you know something that would take you maybe 45 minutes to an hour in the States may end up taking you a couple of days in Manila. So I rushed around trying to get all my business taken care of, finally made it, and I met my neighbor at Cindy's, which is the Philippines version of Wendy's. And so from there, we flew over to Gigarao. He's from Isabella, so we flew into Gigarao, and from Gigarao, it's about a 2-hour taxi ride into Isabella. So on the way there, we passed through several little villages or barangays, and Tuguegarao and Isabella are not exactly like Manila. It's not a big business area. You don't have a lot of tall buildings. You don't have the crowds, and his place, Isabella, is kind of landlocked. It's kind of dry and dusty. It's got an old world charm to it, but it's certainly not a hub of activity. Now, passing through the town of Isabella, you saw maybe, farmers and taking care of the caribou and the goats. But one thing that really caught my attention and kind of made me think was that I saw these, I guess they were corn farmers. And apparently what they do is they harvest this corn, they plant it, they harvest it, they shuck it, then they take it off the cob and they put it in these huge, like 100-pound burlap sacks. And I guess for whatever purpose they use this corn for, they have to make sure it's dry before they can sell it or use it. And so I would see these farmers during the day, they would roll this corn, they would carry these sacks out to the side of the road. Then they would dump this corn and they would rake it out in rows. And sometimes the rows would be 50 feet long, and they'd put it out in the sun to dry. And then at the end of the day, they would rake this corn or sweep this corn back up, put it back in the sacks, carry it home, and the next morning do it all over again. I was thinking to myself that, this is a hard way to make a living, to feed your family. This is monotonous work, it's heavy work, and it's god-awful hot there. And so I really, really gained a huge amount of respect for these guys and the type of work that they had to do just to provide for their families. So anyway, passing through the town of Isabella, I happened to notice that everything there had my neighbor's last name or family name. And everything was like the Bacani store, the Bacani theater, the Bacani this. And it wasn't so much a testament to his family's wealth, but more so that I guess they were some of the first settlers in that area. So they were kind of pioneers in that barangay. One of the things that really caught my eye is at the city center, there were a lot of huge trees. And you look up in the trees, and my goodness, the city hall was in a tree house, about 20 feet above the ground. The city hall and then the clerk's office and the entire seat of power for this barangay was in a tree house. It was absolutely amazing to me. And these tree houses were connected by bamboo and rope bridges. I had never seen anything like this before in my life. This was just some feat of ingenuity as far as I was concerned, because this was all work done by hand. No cranes, No lifts, just guys working hard to make something. So we continued on, and I got to my friend's house, his family's home. And there I was treated like an absolute king. I was greeted at the door warmly, like his family had known me all their lives. Um, I was given refreshments, a place to rest. My clothes were washed for me. I mean, it was really, really something. Um, when I arrived, dinner was already cooking in anticipation of my arrival. And so, after a shower and a nice little nap, I was awakened to come down to dinner. My clothes were returned, clean as if they had been straight to the laundry. So, as we approached the table, the dining table, to prepare to eat, um, we all gathered around and grace was said. And then four or five people tried to, start serving me. And, I was really overwhelmed by it. I'd never experienced anything like this before. But I happened to notice that as I'm sitting down to eat, no one else was being served and no one else looked like they were eating. So it occurred to me that this family did not have enough food to serve me and for all of them to eat. And there were some women there who had to take care of children, and there were some kids there who had to go to school, and the men were working in the fields. And this made me very uncomfortable to think that these people would sacrifice like this for me. And, I'd be long gone with a steady paycheck, and they would be there hungry and suffering for a week or two trying to recover. So I quickly made my cell phone ring in my pocket and then pretended like I had to take a long distance call. And I stepped outside, and as I'm stepping outside, I said, I apologize. You guys continue. And I stayed outside for a long time to make sure that they went ahead and sat down and started eating. For me, it was no big deal. I could go to the local calendaria and find something to eat. So when I returned, everyone was sitting down and they were eating. And, I took a little something just to be respectful or to accept their hospitality. But there was no way I was going to sit down there and eat and watch these people, suffer and pretend like everything was all right. So that was my very, very humbling experience in the Philippines. Now, I have had several other humbling experiences dealing with Filipinos in the sacrifices that they make and the lifestyle that they live, all in comparison to what I'm used to. But this really touched my heart. So I just wanted to share that with you. It was something that I had thought about, and I hadn't thought about it in quite a while. And I guess it was time for me to touch back on that to kind of keep me grounded and level. So until the next time, thank you very much for viewing. If you like the video or if you don't like it, give it a